live. Let me know if you can see and hear me. And if you can, you might notice that I'm in exactly the same pajama shirt as I was last night if you were here. So, good morning. I have my cappuccino ready, and y'all, I'm freaking ready to write. So, let me go over to the comments and
My cappuccino.
Oh, that was my own voice. Sorry about that. Let's see. Hello, Earth Rights. See, that's like you managed to get up and do this with me again too. Hello, CYC. Hi, Amanda. Hi, Samantha. Hi, Erin. Please, Erin, I'm pretty confident I'm pronouncing your name right, but if I'm not, please correct me. Hi, Demi. Yay, okay, y'all can see and hear me. Perfect. All right. Well, I hosted one of these last night that was the monthly one, but I just want to say a quick thank you so much for being my patrons because we passed the 125 patron mark, and that's incredible. And thank you so much. I am going to be working on finishing up adding in the little sentences of Project Purple today because once I finished my read through, I realized that the scenes at the end of the book they worked. Everything worked. I feel like it flowed decently well. It's at the point that I think I need beta feedback on it instead. But something I did notice is that I only put a scene with Prince Augustine's mom, the queen, at the very end, and she's not really ever mentioned. So though it sort of fixes the problem, it was more like a band-aid situation. So I need to go back through the other scenes earlier on and just throw casual lines in there about Augustine's mom. And there's a couple other things like that where I'm like, this would have more impact if I just threw some lines in earlier to add to it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go throw in some of those lines, and then I'm going to work on the language and making sure it's as semi-readable as it can be at this state to people other than me. And then I think it's going to be ready for beta feedback. I think I'm actually going to be able to finish that before September's over. So that's super exciting. Let me know what you guys are working on. Let me know how excited you are about your projects. And then we're gonna get started. Let's see. Hi, Sarah. Okay, good. Glad I'm saying it right, Erin. And then, hi. Hey, Annie. Morning. I'm tired as heck, but I'm ready to write. Yes, you are back and you are ready. Awesome. Let's see. I'm going to be testing out a new timer from yesterday on the computer. The dials on, when it stops, it sounds a little bit more like a phone than like a wah wah. So hopefully it won't be as abrasive to everyone, myself included. So whenever we're ready, I think that'll be a little bit better. Sarah says, I'm about to write the big climactic battle in my novel. I'm so close to finishing the first chapter. Yay! Congratulations, Sarah. That's so exciting, though. Battle scenes are so interesting to write because I just think they're always so interesting. I really do like reading them and I love watching them when it's like TV or movie. But when I get to writing a battle scene, I'm always sitting there like, so what really needs to be included here? Even hand-to-hand combat fight scenes, even when it's not a big battle, I'm always like, man, how do I describe this the best way that I can? And this is the part where I feel like a weirdo sometimes, where I mime out what my characters might be doing. So if they throw a punch, but they might have just gotten wounded, I have to pretend to throw and then get wounded so that I can see what the next attack potentially could be. So then battle scenes, it's almost like I wish I had a full a map that I could draw out where I'm like, okay, if they're gonna attack this side, then we gotta go here. So I don't know if you do that, Sarah, but I would love to hear about it, or anyone. How do y'all write battle scenes? Erin says, I'm working on an outline for what I'm calling Project Faye because I'm as bad at names as you. Thank you. Yeah, we're all in this together. Honestly, the project thing is so helpful. It distinguishes just enough and gives people an idea about what you're working on. So I think that's great. I mean, not when you do colors like I do. So I should work on that, but I think Project Faye is like, a decent thing to be like, yeah, yeah. It's the Faye project. It's the project with Fays. And an outline. That's so exciting. I just finished the can I call them outlines if they happen after the fact? That's what I'm not really sure, but I finished all 3 last night on the write-in. This was novella number 3. So I finished that, and I got my outlining, I think, done. I am gonna try and outline during NaNoWriMo for, Project Death. I think I'm going to actually go through my 40,000 words of it that I have and see what I wanna keep and then re-outline, and I might even do, like, a pretty serious outline and honestly try and stay with it during NaNoWriMo, like, maybe a chapter by chapter outline. I don't know. I feel like it's something I should try. So if you guys have any advice on outlining, I would love to hear it. Let's see. CYC says, I'm working on edits for my draft 3 of my Pride and Prejudice retelling. Heck yes! Oh, that's so exciting. Oh my gosh. I'm so pumped. Debbie says, I'm plotting a book that follows a storyteller telling the myths of a fictional region as a supplement for a setting of a game system I'm creating. So I'm outlining the myths in this culture. That is very cool. I really like that. I always think that's fun. I guess Project Purple is kind of similar in some ways, where it's like a character telling, in your case, it's myths, and in my case, it's like a story that was like had happened already. I always think that's an interesting way to do it because you can play around with some extra stuff. And that's a really cool way to work as a supplement. That's fascinating. That's cool. Good luck, Demi. Okay, Sarah also is not sure about the whole battle thing. Oh, especially because there's magic involved. Oh my gosh. Yes, that sounds super complicated. But one of those things that once you figure it out will be so rewarding because you're like, ha ha, I did it. Samantha is working on the 4th draft of her contemporary fantasy book. That's contemporary fantasy. I know we kind of talked about this once before, but is contemporary fantasy anything like urban fantasy? Is it like a different name for it? Because I know that the whole trends surrounding that in traditional publishing have changed a bit, so I just wasn't sure. Also known as modern fantasy or indigenous fantasy, is a subgenre of fantasy set in present day or more accurately time period of the maker. Oh, it is perhaps most popular for its subgenre, urban fantasy. I did not realize urban fantasy was a subgenre of contemporary fantasy. Ooh, I'm gonna have to do so much more Googling. That's so interesting. Well, Sarah, tons of notes and blow-by-blow outline with a map of the area. Oh my gosh. You can do it. Aaron also loves writing myths. Myths are so cool. Myths are so fun to come up with. That's like, for Project Death, a lot of the book sort of relies on some myths, but then I have a couple scenes where they are like, gathered around, like, not a religious place, but like a place within their little communities. And they go over myths while they're, waiting to go to sleep and stuff like that. I just think that's fun. Amanda says, I'm still working on my 0 draft for my fantasy project royalty, but I'm close to finishing it. I'm so excited, a little scared before. I've never finished anything. How do you edit? Oh my gosh, Amanda, that is so exciting. Also, good morning, Leah. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. That's going to be so fun. Well, first off, you could freaking do it. You were so close. I love Project Royalty. I know I've said that before, but I just think that's so clever. How do you edit? Ooh, what a question. It's a good one. This is where even with the 0 draft, I try and leave 2 months. Some people don't need a full 2 months. Maybe you can do a month, just to get some space for it so that when you reread it, you're rereading it with fresh eyes. And then I think stuff tends to stick out at you. Either a direction you want to add more of, or like something where you realize actually that doesn't work with the plot. And then I think focusing on those big picture items or what you want to do for your first edit. And that's how you go through and like you rewrite the parts that you need to rewrite. I do it a little bit differently than some people like to do it, and that between like the first draft is an almost complete rewrite for me. I have the zero draft up and then I write from a different document, and there's a little bit of copy paste, but like not a lot. I know not everyone does that, but that's usually because I've completely messed up the timeline or something. So it just depends. I think the editing process, kind of like writing, is just something you learn as you go. So this is going to be really fun for you, Amanda, because it's like you're going to be getting some skills and you're going to learn how you specifically like to do it. So Debbie says, they're my favorite part of learning about writing cultures are the myths. Yes. Leah says, I'll be in and out because handymen are coming to replace our dishwasher. Oh my gosh, no worries. That's what I think a really cool thing about these writing sprints is that you can just like come in, come out, write a little bit, chat a little bit, and it's perfect. Also, hopefully they do fix your dishwasher. Hopefully everything's okay there. Earthright says, hey, Earthright, my battle solution is fade to black. That's, yes. That's probably closer to what I actually do. I feel like the couple times I've had a big battle thing, it's like I follow the main character and they have their little fight, then I fade to black and then come back and then showed like a scope of destruction kind of thing. But I don't know that I've ever done that when there's been magic involved, because then you have to show like, oh, I don't know. You might have to show more. I feel like you'd have to show more of it, because you'd at least have to show a couple of the magic, like spells or incantations or however you want to do it, like happening. Oh man. Oh, this is the thing where I'm like, this is too much for my brain sometimes. Let's see. JMB is working on an assignment for uni this time. It has to be done. That's very true. If it has to be done, it has to be done. And what better time? Now you have people who can like hang out with you and do it with you, kind of. Aaron says, that makes sense. If you're doing modern fantasy in a rural area, you wouldn't call it urban fantasy. Yeah, I don't know what. This is the thing about all of those like genres and subgenre distinctions. Like, I feel like I just don't know enough about them. It's fascinating. I feel like I want to see almost like a tree so I can understand what branched off of where. Like, again, who am I not have? I have so many books up here, but I don't have my library books in here. I got a cozy mystery, and I always wonder how the cozy mystery sort of evolved off of like the typical mystery. Like, I almost like the history of a subgenre I'm curious about. Like, who was the first one to write urban fantasy, or who was the first one to write a cozy mystery, or like a lot of the content. Like, I just have questions. I'm just curious. Let's see. Leah says, but I'll still be working at the ending of my second draft. I'm at a prison riot scene right now, scared for movies. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so fun. Also, yes, terrifying for your characters, but like so fun for you as a writer. Yay! Oh my gosh, I'm so glad, Leah. It's my third one with you now. I was nervous to join beforehand, but it's fun and fun. Yes. And I feel like I've gotten more comfortable too as I go along, just from having done it so much at this point. And I feel like it's allowed me to be just as productive doing it as if I was like on the other end. So it works really well for me too. And I think they're great. So I'm glad you're enjoying them. Sarah says, and the extra difficult part is that my main character has a block on her where she can't directly cast offensive skills. So she has to do all of the extra workarounds. Oh my gosh. But this is the thing where you have to show it, right? Because if she does have a block, then it's like, the reader would want to see how she's gonna work around that. That's fascinating. Oh my gosh. You're in for such a treat once you figure out exactly how you do it though. Like, you're just gonna freaking shout from the rooftops, I'm sure. Sarah, because I love to make things difficult myself. Yeah. All right, let's see. Every time I pull up my phone, but I don't need to do that now because StreamYard lets me share the screen. So, let's see. Y'all let me know how long you want to sprint for this first time. I think a lot of mine is going to be reading in a couple places. But I might actually do some typing this time. I didn't do any typing last night. So a little bit of extra writing here and there. Let's see. How do we feel about like a 9? Did we do 9 last time? Do we want to do 7 this time? I should like maybe write down how long you're sprinting for. And then, because I try to make sure that we get a total of like, you know, half writing, half sprinting time. So let me double check on the other side. Okay, all right, I see both Leah and Earthright said 8, so let's go ahead and do 8. We're gonna do 808 and start. Oh, all right, we're going. What do we think? That wasn't as bad, right? It wasn't as abrasive? I don't know. I hope not. I also turned down the volume on my computer to see if that would help. I don't know exactly how the mic system transfers in my computer, so hopefully it didn't just blast y'all even more for some reason. Let us go back to... Haha! Perfect. All right, how did you guys do? I did manage to include one sentence that I abbreviated a bit to include the mom in like scene 7, I think. And there are 62 scenes. So I think that'll help a little bit. I would like to include her vaguely mentioned a couple more times. But, you know, that's the main thing. I also found that I didn't name someone. I cannot believe I thought I went through this entire book and I thought I named everyone last time since I struggled so much with it, but apparently not. Apparently I still need to name at least one other person. And there's a couple like phrases I put that I need to make up for fun. So, you know, that's the kind of work I feel like I'm doing at this level where my beta readers really should have that in there so that they're not taken out of the story because, you know, I need them to be focused on like, you know, how the plot goes and how the characters are, not being like, oh, look, Kate didn't name something again. So, let's see how y'all did. Okay, it wasn't too harsh. Good. Yay. Okay. Leah got 190. Way to go. Sarah got 140. I mean, I thought I was looking to do good. Okay. Samantha 162. Aaron 165. Annie says 0 words, but did fix a few punctuation mistakes. It's kind of how I ended up feeling. You know, I got one scene in there. Amanda got 152. And Earthrights only did 67, but I got distracted with looking up Caribbean languages for the main character. Ooh, that's very cool. I feel like I'm so bad with languages. Like I'm bad enough at English that sometimes when I'm having to use like one time I had a English character and I was like, okay, should I figure out where in England they're from and like what phrases would they use that would be a little bit different than someone who was like from the southern part of England. And I just went on this whole thing and I was still like, it just takes a lot more research, I feel like. Let's see. Oh, sorry, I have a little bit of a cold. CYC, I mostly reread chapter 1 because I killed my darling and cut out a big scene in chapter 2. I needed to make sure the traces of it are gone. That is like, I feel like that's one of the most difficult things sometimes when you're revising and editing. That's actually why I almost always have to have like a gap between when I do a big overhaul or like if I was to kill a character, I need a gap away from it because otherwise I will still have some of the old draft in my brain as I'm trying to read it. So it's like some of the stuff that would like the remnants of it in chapter 2 or like further chapters wouldn't stand out to me. Maybe I think probably some people are better at that than I am, but that's just something that's why I always recommend the like 2-month break between drafts. I also I've had stories in the past where I've realized when I've actually killed a character and then just killed my darlings when there was something that I enjoyed and I had to take out. I don't know where I was going with that. Oh my gosh. I was like, in my head I had something, but I totally lost it. Let's see. Yes, I agree with Aaron though, CYC. I'm proud of you for killing your darlings and pushing through. Leah says, I have a killed darlings folder in Scrivener now just to lament. Oh, that's a smart idea. I usually come up with new drafts each time, like new files for the story. So I do have like a folder for an overall story. Like Project Purple has all of its 3 drafts in that folder. So I could always it'll be interesting whenever I get to the point that I publish something to go back and like revisit the very first or zero draft of a book and be like, look at how different it was. And I'd be so curious about how many like kill the darlings I have, or just things that I was like, you know, not killed darlings in that they were, I appreciated them, but just like things that I thought were good. And then when I read them later, I was like, that's terrible, take it out for the next draft. So that'll be funny. That'll be something to look forward to, I guess. Hi, Becca. She says I slept in. You know what? I almost did. The call of the coffee is what motivated me, and I had an alarm. And I was like, well, of all the people, I have to be here. Let's see. CYC says, it's sad but necessary. I always use that scene in some other. I can always use that scene in some other book in the future. That's very true. I'm curious for you guys, how often do you take scenes that you've had to take out of one book and then try and use them in future books? Or like I've heard some people will, if you have to take out a character from a book that's just not working, do you then use that same character in another book? Because I think I was talking to Jess. I can't remember who I was talking to, where we were saying that that's what like they always did, is that if they just really liked a character, they just used them somewhere else. And I'm someone who like, I don't know that I've ever used a character outside of the worlds that like I built around them, almost because I'm so character based. What often happens is that the character comes first and then I build around the character. And so I have done a couple things where I like throw that character in another book that's like not the same stuff, just because I think it could be a funny nod to something. But yeah, I don't know that I've ever been like, okay, they're not working here, but I like that character. Let me take that character and move them over here. I've never had that. I just think it's so interesting. Okay, Leah Falls, I'm excited for that point. It's already so different from the zero draft. Yes, for real. Oh, sorry, you guys. I do think it's so interesting to see like plot lines we abandoned or plot lines we found a better way of doing. Sometimes it's one of those things that like I feel like we as writers don't give ourselves enough credit for, because we're already doing something like pretty incredible by making something up that literally didn't exist in the world before we thought it up and put it to paper and like created these characters. And that's very cool. But then to think about how through the process, we realize that something isn't working and we make it like this to revisit that. I don't know. I just think writing's so cool. So it's just always interesting to see how we get from one place to another. And sometimes I can't even pinpoint as I'm writing how I come up with certain things. Even when I'm like doing vlogs or something, I'll see myself go, I just got an idea. And I could not for the life of me tell you sometimes how I jumped to that idea, but that idea ends up being what I go with and stays in the book. And I always think it's just so cool. It's just so interesting how the mind works. Let's see. JMB is saying it must be hard to kill off the darlings, but they died for a good cause. Leah says several characters don't even exist anymore. Yeah, that's what I do. I just kind of, if I take them out, I usually just, they're gone forever. She says, I took out one character storyline from this book, but I'm planning to bring it into the sequel. So that is a different kind of thing almost, I feel like, where it's like you realize for the sake of the story, even though it's part of the story still, it just like takes place at a different time. I think that's interesting too. Samantha says, I've not personally reused a character, but I would not be opposed if the story fits. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. I don't know that I'd be opposed either. I guess I've just never thought up something like that before. And actually, whatever that conversation was opened my eyes to doing something like that in the future, potentially. I mean, it's not something that I'd ever even thought of or considered before, but kind of like Samantha, maybe if the story fits, well, I could do it. Earthright says, I've never used a character I've had to kill off or remove in another story. I'm not sure if I could. Right? This is where I'm just sitting here like, I wonder. Leah says, hope you feel better soon. Thank you. I hope so. Let's see. JMB, thank you. Earth writes, I do have connected worlds though. The book I'm working on will be connected on another story I have on the back burner. Connected worlds, I do think are fascinating. And I also like a little bit more too, just personally, where I'm like, in a weird sort of way, these can be connected. Like, I don't know why. It's a, wow, I had like 5 thoughts at the same time. So I have my Pirates series that are 5 books. In this second book that I just finished the Zero Draft of, oh my gosh, cannot get over saying that. I finished, there's a character who basically my main character helps to smuggle to somewhere else. She's gonna have to come back up maybe in the 5th book, but I kind of want to do a spin-off book. And it's not even a spin-off, but like I want to do a series about what happened with her and her sisters to that got her to needing to be smuggled, if that makes sense. Like I have all of the backstory in my mind because at one point I was trying to write that story, I think before I was even trying to write the pirate story. But then yeah, it just fits kind of funkily. So it's in the same world, though I feel like the actual feeling is going to be different because they're not, the sisters aren't pirates. They just happen to be, I don't know. None of this is making sense, but it's just something that I've thought of setting another story into my current pirate story and being like, this is fun. This is a fun separate thing. So that's kind of like a connected world, I guess. It's actually in the world, so maybe it's not a connected world. I don't know. What do y'all think about that? How do connected worlds, Earthrights, work compared to just doing a spin-off almost, but it's not a spin-off? I don't know. Sarah says, brains are fascinating. The logical jumps a brain can make our mind blow. I laughed before the pun, so I'm with you. Yeah, it's just so interesting what our brains do. And I think it's so interesting what creativity in the brain does and like that sort of problem solving element. I think that's why, even though I find it the most difficult, it's why I do enjoy revision so much, because you get to activate not only your creative side, but also this like extra problem solving side where you're like, okay, how do I make this into something better and what I want it to be and all this stuff. Like, it's just so cool. Hello, Pericula. You are totally not late. We've only had one sprint. We've been talking a lot. So that is a good point. I will come back to the rest of the comments, but I figure we should get to sprinting. So we did 808 last time. If we do like a 12 minute, let's do something under, well, what do y'all think? We could do something around 15 minutes and then we can like kind of all add them up together. I'm hoping we can just get an hour's worth of work done here. And if I stop talking for a little bit, then that would make it easier, wouldn't it? So we're just going to see what the first couple that comes in. Okay, I see 1225, 1212, 1436, 13, 1253. I'm going to go, I like the 12 thing. Let's do a 12. Oh, Sarah got me. I was going to do 1221, but I love 1, 2, 3, 4 instead. That's always a good one. So I don't know why in my mind I'm like, because I told y'all last time how I do weird addition. This isn't an addition one, but like I just love pretty numbers. So I think that's what we're going to do. Alrighty, I'm going to set it and we're going to go for 12 minutes and 34 seconds. Oh, go! time. All right, how did you guys do? I did okay. I went back through, so I'm down to 62 again. I'm seeing some stuff that I could put in if I wanted. I just need to actually do it. So I made note of it. I highlighted it in blue for where I thought, I guess I could stop sharing that part. I highlighted it in blue so that I could see it as I go back through. I do have a question though. Maybe y'all can help me come up with something. Not that it really matters, it's just that I made a note of it, but after Jenny is back at the hospital, she's freed herself and Augustine, and she's now at a place where her dad has come up from Florida, where they're from, and then her mom's actually been flying from overseas, and her parents are divorced, but they're gonna have like a group hug, once they're all together and Jenny's safe and all this stuff. But I wanted to try and like come up with a cute phrase for a group hug that maybe her family called it back when she was little, but like obviously they've been divorced for the past like 10 years, so she hasn't even heard that phrase in a while, so she's just thinking of it. Do y'all have any like cute phrases a family might call a group hug other than a group hug? Because I've just been sitting here and I'm like, what in the heck? Worst case, I could just stick with group hug, but I wrote in that they called it something cute, and I'm just like, oh, well, now you have to come up with a cute thing. So I'm trying to pass it to y'all. If you can help, if you have any suggestions, I'd love to hear them. If not, I'm gonna come up with, I'll keep it a group hug. Let's see how you guys did. Okay. Samantha got 228. Jordan came in the last 2 minutes, so nothing. Totally fine. Amanda, whoa, Samantha and Amanda both got 228. Look at you guys go. Aaron got 235, Sarah got 190, Earth writes 200, and I've crossed the 12,000 word mark with the help of the write-ins. Yes, way to go. Okay, Jordan says that timer's so much better. Good, I'm glad. Becca says, I was outlining and figured out the end of the book. Becca. Wait, Becca. Wow. I have like 3 questions. Is this Will or is this Hexsphere? Which one are we working on outlining? I wasn't sure. Also, that's exciting either way though. Leah got 215. I spent half the time on the thesaurus trying to figure out synonyms for stab, push, pull, and all those other lovely fighting words. Yes, that is half the problem, I feel like, with fighting and battle scenes and whatever, too, where it's like, how many times can I realistically use this one word again? Ugh, I feel you. I totally feel you. That's so funny. And it's something interesting that I know that in Stephen King's book, he's always like, just pick the word that like feels right, like that you think. You don't need to look at a thesaurus for the word. And I'm always sitting here and I'm like, yeah, I hate repeated words. Not that I make the words any harder or try to make myself sound better, but I don't like the rhythm of reading or hearing the repeated word a bunch in one scene. So I'm always like, I'm gonna use that thesaurus. A bunny hug, a penguin huddle, a cuddle huddle. These are all so cute. Oh my God, thank you guys so much. I'm going to write all of them down right now in the document, and then I will see which ones I think can fit. Thank you. Oh my gosh. My parents and I say Familien Cuddler, but it's in German, and obviously family cuddle, cuddle huddle. I love cuddle huddle. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. You guys, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, yay! Because that was like, I had it in blue several times in the scene where I was like, you're gonna have to come up with something. I had it in all caps. Group hug, cuddle huddle, super cute. I might be able to figure out, since we had some animal suggestions, if I could fit an animal somewhere. To make sense with like another scene or something, but otherwise it might be cuddle huddle. Let me go back. Sarah, thank you. Cuddle huddle. I love it. Let's see. 250 for Pericula. Way to go. Okay. Becca's working on Will. I'm so freaking excited. It's just, Yes, I'm excited for Hexsphere too, though. So, like, this is the thing. I'm just generally excited. JMB says, I got what I wanted to done in my assignment. Congratulations. Not sure if I should be an overachiever and keep working on it or if I should reward myself by moving on to something else. I feel you. Well, I'm always a fan of rewards. So maybe you could reward yourself for a little bit and then get a little bit ahead. We still have 2 sprints to go at least, because the goal would be to get like 40 more minutes of sprinting during this. So, let's see what else. Leah says, I usually go to thesaurus to figure out what actually sounds right. Yeah, I can't just think of them all the time. For real, that's why I have so many caps locks that I'll put sometimes. So like if you guys ever see me zoom in on my screen sometimes just when I'm trying to show you something in particular, if you see a bunch of caps lock, it's either because I haven't named someone and so I'm just using like something in the place. Like I'll use redhead in all caps because I know the character is redheaded and I have a visual of that, but like I don't have their name. Or it's because I know the word isn't the word I want to use. I want a different word, but I need to move on, so I'm just going to go with it. And so I'll just have an assorted thing of caps that I go back and fix later and go to the thesaurus. And I'm like, okay, of my options, which do I think sounds best in this sentence? So I feel you, Leah. Yes, Sarah, thank you. I'm so glad. Yay! Cuddle Huddle's just so cute. Okay, let me go back. There was conversation before I started that sprint, so I'm going to scroll up a little bit. We were talking about the fascinating thing that are the brains. Okay, and Samantha says, I love connected worlds. They're so cool in my opinion. And Sarah goes, if you like connected worlds, you should check out Gail Carragher's Parasolvers. First off, what a cool name. I feel like I might have butchered that, but I'm going to write down Parasolvers. It's 3 complete series and tons of novellas all set in the same universe. How cool. Okay, Parasolvers. And that's Gail Carragher. Perfect. I will check this out. I feel like, man, I don't know what it is. This is the kind of weird thing. I don't know if any of you guys had this, but I was in a bit of like a reading slump, I felt like, and now I'm just reading everything. I think it was partially because I was doing a lot on my projects, but simultaneously felt like I wasn't making enough progress. So then I like not punished myself, but I was like, no, you have to keep making progress. You have to do this. So then I didn't let myself read. And so I don't know what happened in my brain, but I was like, you know what? You read that book. And then I come back to my stories and I'm like, whoo, like crushing them. So anyways, I'm just considering some things regarding reading slumps and I'm ready to check out the Parasolvers. Let's see. Leah says, that sounds great. I know what you mean. I want to write a prequel trilogy about a smaller character in the series. Yes, I always think that's so cool. And actually, as a reader, when writers do that, I always think it's so cool and I enjoy it. So, why not give it a go myself? And Leah, why not give it like that? I just think that's cool. So, all right, I'm going to scroll. Oh, I see Demi said, connected worlds would sort of expand the scope of the world and world building in the stories. I guess it depends how much you want to show the reader or leave to their mouth. Okay, that's kind of what I was thinking, because I was like, yeah, I wasn't entirely sure of what the exact definition is. But if you are expanding the universe a little or giving the reader an insight into a different part of the world, which I guess with my idea I would be, then that could count as a connected world. Okay. Got it. Let's see. Oh, Birthrights! Aaron says, I go to the thesaurus when I can't remember the right word, especially when the word I'm thinking of doesn't actually mean the exact same thing. Yes. I don't know how many times I've also, my brain's almost gotten the right word, except that I know the actual word I wrote down isn't the same meaning. It's just that the word I want is closer to this word, so I write it down. Again, we're going to go back to the brains are weird kind of things, people. Samantha says, reading's very important for writers. I tend to read for at least a half hour on the daily. It really helps my writing. For real, though, yeah, I completely agree. So I don't know why I get into this mindset of if I'm not making enough progress on my stories, I like shouldn't be reading. Like I should only be writing. It's not a good mindset to have. So at least now I think this is the first time I've actually witnessed myself making that decision. And so I think now, if I start trending toward that, I can be like, you won't pick up a book and sit down for a half hour or an hour. What I actually want to do is I've been really bad about getting, especially with traveling, but like my sleep routine's kind of messed up. So what I'd really like to do is rather than like trying to force myself to sleep at a certain time and then like scrolling on my phone for hours, I think I'm just going to actually take my lamp over here and read in bed for a half hour or an hour. Like, I think I'm going to try and set up an actual bedtime routine and see if I can't stick with it. And I think that bedtime routine will include reading. And then that way, no matter what, even if I read earlier in the day, I'm still getting my reading in. And I think, like Sarah, that'll make it so that I'm feeling better. So I'm not getting cranky. Sarah says, I'm constantly reading thanks to the Kindle app on my phone. Literally any free meme. I'm so sorry, Sarah. I completely butchered your comment. I don't know what is happening with the brain to the mouth. It happened yesterday, too. I don't know. For those of you who were on last night, it was just terrible. I couldn't read anything. I couldn't say anything. But yes, okay, so any free moment, Sarah's on her phone reading. I feel like I just scroll a lot, or I do, and not like I don't know. I read a lot of Reddit, like I'm going through different fandoms on Reddit or something, like reading comments. So it's not in my head, and this is where I get into trouble because I'm still literally on my phone. In my head, I'm like, oh, I'm not just scrolling through like Instagram or something, which I also like to do. But this way, it's like I'm communicating with people, but that it's not. It's no. I should just read, read a book. Okay, Jordan's been in a reading slump too. She feels my pain. Leah says, that's a good idea. I'm trying to fit reading time into my day at the moment, but also have this whole I need to finish the draft first thing going on. Exactly. I feel like that's the trap I was in. And for some people, I think that might actually work better than it did for me. I think it's just because I wasn't finishing things as fast that then I started finishing slower and slower and slower. And so again, now that I've like gotten back into reading, I'm finishing so fast. So I think it's kind of like almost refilling the well kind of thing. So I depleted it too much, and then I needed to read fiction, nonfiction, everything in order to like replenish it. I'm just sitting here kind of mad at myself that it took that long for me to realize it. But moving forward, now I've had the realization, and it hopefully won't happen again. So this is a positive thing overall. Let's see. JMB says, I really find it difficult to read for recreation during the uni semester. I do a very word heavy subject, so I get home and just don't want to read anymore. I feel like that's a very valid thing. Actually, I think the least I've ever read in my life was when I was at university. And not because, and I'm complaining about how I'm in a reading slump now. But when I was in, high school and younger, I was such a voracious reader. Then I had this part during university where I was just really not I was like, I read a lot during the summer, even when I was taking summer classes, but like during the like school year, I was not reading practically at all. If I got through one or two fiction books, I was like, this was a good year kind of thing. And then since then, I think I average maybe 2 books a month. I'd like that to be more, but 2 books a month is like, it's decent. So yeah, university is just a weird time. And especially if you're in a word heavy subject or major, like I completely understand not wanting to read as much. And that's one of the things that sometimes, you just can't. And that's okay. If you look back at your university time and are like, well, that was the years I wasn't reading quite as much, it's fine. On the plus side, books are still coming out, so you're gonna have so much fun stuff to catch up on when you are back to reading a lot. Aaron says, I avoid the phone probably by using an e-reader. See, that's the thing, Erin. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to set my phone with my alarm on the other side of the room, and I'm going to only have my book and my lamp near my desk, near my bed. And then that way, I'm like getting rid of the blue light thing entirely, kind of thing. So, yeah. Jordan says, I really do feel your pain. My TBR pile is massive because I work at a bookstore and get discounts. Jordan. Ugh, Jordan. Oh my gosh. I can't imagine how I already have so many books I haven't read, and I have a giant TBR. I can't imagine being at a bookstore or like working in a library, which might be really fun and that like could be something to like volunteer at the library or something, and like just seeing the new books come in constantly, because that's always the best worst part about going to the library for me. I'll go for one book or I'll put a book on hold, and then I get there and then they have the section that's like new books, and I'm like, let me just look really quick. I can't imagine if I was like constantly there, how much I would just, the TBR would just, oh, it would be massive. Oh my gosh. Pericula says, reading's difficult. I have to read a ton for work, so reading for fun has gotten a bit lost. Love it when I can do it, but often my brain's too fried. Yeah, that totally makes sense. I think that's, yeah, I mean, it's just something that it's kind of like writing sometimes. I think when I did, I tried writing like author tubers thing, I kind of shot myself in the foot at one point. I think I was going through like a hardish time anyways, mental health wise, but I followed like some of their routines and they were writing after work. But what happens is that I was already had been working and writing all day. So then when I got to doing their like 4 or 5 hour routine, that was more writing, I just was exhausted. So, and I think the same, even for something that you love, writing and reading, if you have to do a lot of it for work a bunch already, it's just, your brain gets tired. It gets tired. So I completely understand that. Debbie says, I found it really difficult to read for fun when I was at uni. Yeah, see, what is up with that? I guess because you do have to read so much while you're there anyways. Just finished my master's, but moving abroad in months, so I'm trying to finish Game of Thrones before then. Demi! Oh my god, congratulations! Congratulations on your master's! Where are you moving abroad to? I have a lot of questions, and good luck finishing Game of Thrones. That's awesome. That's incredible. Good job. Sarah says working in a bookstore would be the most dangerous job ever. TBR Powell. Yes, completely agreed. Leah says, I kind of didn't allow myself to read for fun because there was so much I should read in college. Yeah. Wow. First off, I'm feeling very seen. I'm glad I'm not the only one who went through like such a slump in college or in university. That makes me feel better. Jamie says, I was similar. I think I've only finished 3 books in the last 4 years thanks to uni, but read so much before that. Yeah, what is up with that? I mean, I get it. We just talked about how you're just having to read so much, but oh man. Pericula says, okay, Jordan says the covers are so pretty. I was like, that, gosh. Jordan, working at a bookstore, how much do you notice trends on covers? I was talking with some people. I think it's so interesting, especially within like the YA genre, because I think I'm most tuned into that traditional publishing wise, but everyone could let me know if you've noticed a trend with like the titles being like da 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 da. Like I think Emily was talking about it, and it was let me see, like Daughter of Smoke and Bone. It's because a lot of titles, and it's still kind of going, so I'm waiting for that trend to decline, where it's like the blank of blank and blank, like just long titles. And I don't know if y'all participated in the reading rush, but I think I think Ariel and them even called it out and be like, it's a trend to have really long titles nowadays. So Jordan, I'm curious, working in a bookstore, if you notice a lot of the titles and covers having like specific elements that are very samey, or any of y'all, if you are more tapped into a different sort of industry within publishing or just like reading in general, if you notice these sort of trends, because I would be so curious. Like, what was it? Like maybe, I guess it's still going now, but I would say it was more prevalent like 5 years ago, where in YA there was always the silhouette of the girl on the cover or something like that. I think we still have that one, but like there was also all of the books after Twilight. I know Becca's talked about this, where it's like just the object floating, or like the hands and the apple, and like something that really doesn't give a lot away about the books, but like it's, you know, it stands out, and that was the trend then. So I don't know, I think it's all so interesting. Percula says, trouble is I'm a professor, so the university excuse for not reading fiction is an evergreen one. That's so funny. Poor Percula. Yeah, for real though. That's so true. Do you find, Percula, when you're not instructing, like maybe during the summer, I don't know if you teach summer courses, do you read more then? Like, is it kind of an ebb and flow sort of thing? Samantha works at a library and loves it. Oh my gosh, that's incredible. That's so cool. In the future, that might be something that I try and do. So CY says, going to head to the gym now so I can spend all afternoon on my online class. Oh, bye, CYC. I totally missed it. I was talking so much about covers. Sorry, you guys. Let me go back. Erin says, other reason I love my e-reader, I just put a hold of the first Gail Carriger ebook. When it's back, it'll be instantly on my e-reader. That's true. That is awesome. And I have my note for Gail Carriger too. Okay, I'm very excited for this conversation, but I do think that I'm going to come back to it because we need to sprint. Totally my bad. Where's my time management? It's non-existent today. So let me go ahead and pop this up on the screen. Let me know. We need to get another 40 minutes of sprinting in. So are y'all up for like, you know, a couple 20-minute ones? Do you want to ramp up a little bit and then do a longer 20-minute? How do I share my screen on here? Acting as if I haven't done it every time before. I'm thinking, man, this session might go on for like 2.5 hours this time, you guys. Sorry, since I cannot stop talking and get in the freaking hour of sprinting. So do we think how does a 22 sound? And then we can drop back down a little bit. Does a 22 sound cool? Are we thinking that's a little much? Y'all let me know. I see Samantha says, let's do 20. JB says 24. Leah will probably be gone for a bit at 8:30. That's totally cool. Aaron likes longer sprints. Yeah, I am the like person that stops the long ones. I'm the one who's like the problem here. Leah's cool. They did. Okay, we're going to do 22 then. And we're just going to do, how do I clear this? Okay. All the twos. That is what we're doing. 2-2, 2-2, set, start. Ooh. All right, time. Let me stop sharing my screen. So I switched from, first off, let me know how y'all did, and then tell you how I did as the answers come in. I switched over from Project Purple to semi-plotting Meridian Maps number 3. I already have 10 scenes that I know of for sure that need to be in the book, so that was fun, just kind of coming up with them. The great thing about making this story, in some ways, based on the Meridian maps, these maps that they're trying to find, is that I figured out how many maps they need to find in each book, which already generates a certain number of scenes because obviously you have to get the maps. And then I just got to think of fun different ways that they can be found, discovered, any kind of strange sea mythology that I want to throw in order to get them sometimes, other than just like straight stealing. So that always leads to more scenes and more scenes. So it works out really well. But I have 10 scenes and only 2 are about the maps. The other 8 scenes are about, you know, Annalisa and where she's at in the books, where her country is at in the books, since everything's kind of on the brink of war in this world. So yeah, I got 10 scenes. I'm feeling good about it. I think I would like to get like think it over a little bit more. Maybe if I could get up to 15 scenes sort of, you know, figured out, and then I might just start writing and see what happens. But the zero draft is coming together. So let me see how y'all did, and then I will go back up to the conversation we had before. Let's see. Samantha got 431 and finished the chapter. Way to go, Samantha. Demi started the actual writing of a myth. That's awesome. It has 515 words. Leah got 442 and no handyman yet. No, we need this dishwasher fixed. Aaron got 468. Next sprint, I might have to go back and check that I've got everything right. Totally cool. I'm with you. I feel like sometimes, especially on those longer sprints, what I do at the beginning is actually make sure that everything worked, and then I continue on. JMB got around 286 handwritten for a short story. Way to go, JMB. See, that's a great break from, you know, university sort of work. I've said before in videos, but like I'm always amazed because I feel like in university I was so used to taking notes by hand that I probably could have written a lot more by hand than I can now. It's like now it's just it feels useless sometimes. Amanda got 389, but I don't really know where the scene's going. Sometimes those are the best scenes though. You never know. It's what that feels like a coin flip when you don't know where the scene's going, where it's like sometimes you stumble upon something that's incredible, and other times I've totally written myself into corners and been like, nope, that was just no good. Need to backtrack a little. So I'm gonna hope that for you it's a positive coin flip and you're gonna find something really great. Sarah got 109 because of bathroom break. Yes, and chatting with the boyfriend. Yes, but 109 during that time with both of those things. That's awesome. JMB, I'm one of those weird people that like doing first drafts by hand. Man, if I could do it, I mean, that's what like yesterday, I have to, outline and brainstorm by hand. And this isn't like a small amount of words by any means, like it's, but I don't know what it is. I just can't draft by hand anymore. And I used to love that. In high school and in university, I would just like, while I was note taking for classes, I would be writing in like another page my story and stuff. So maybe I should practice. I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to scroll back up to the conversation we were having before, but Amanda is studying to become a librarian. That's so cool. Reading for fun is hard when you're studying. Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay, so Demi says, moving to Cambodia to teach English. Oh my gosh, that's going to be so cool. And then I see Sarah saying, no way, I'm currently an ESL teacher in Korea. This is so cool. I'll have to tap y'all because I thought once upon a time that might be something really cool to do too. That's incredible that both of y'all are doing that though, or doing something similar, and how fun. Leah says, YA covers are so pretty. I'm not the biggest YA fan in terms of reading, but found myself with only YA books because the titles and names are also tempting. It's true though. I feel like that market really is like they understand what visually sucks people in. And I think there's something to be said for that, especially for someone who, and in some respects wants to indie publish. It's something I can take note of and be like, okay, well, this is right for this genre. And maybe how can I make it more visually appealing to a wider genre, potentially? You never know. Cover design is just so scary to me, but so much fun when I see a great cover. Let's see. Jordan says, oh, you're right. I didn't even notice. I noticed the covers as a whole, though. There's a bunch of ones that are similar. I'm always like, I thought this book had a different author. Yes. Where was I? I think I was on the Wander Writers Retreat, and I was talking to Holly Davis, and we saw these two covers that looked so similar, and they were both about like Cinderella's stepmom somehow. And then when we opened them, even the first couple bits were so similar. We were just looking at each other like, and there were two separate authors. They were not connected in any way. And we were just like, it's just interesting. It's also interesting. Let's see. Pricula says, I probably do less reading for pleasure over the summer because that's the time when I work the most on research. Okay, so lots of journal paper reading too. That makes sense. So yeah, that's like the height of your reading. Oh my gosh, I feel like that's like an entirely different kind of writing, like when you're doing researching and then having to write specific papers and like scientific studies. That's very cool and like a different kind than, fiction writing. And I think that's awesome though that you do both. Wow, it's Sarah's 5th year. I teach super young kids, so it's always interesting. Oh, you must have such patience. I'm sure you get that all the time when people find out, but like I don't know that I could do it. That's incredible. Aaron says it's banned book week. According to my library's website, they have a list for teens of banned book. I walked into my library the other day and they were already setting up for banned book week. Yeah. I think, yeah, that's, we could have a whole discussion on the banning of books and how dumb it is. But I always love libraries being just so supportive of reading and not caring at all what, certain like entities try and ban for books. So, oh, bye, Jordan. Totally late. That was 20 minutes ago. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna scroll back down. Let me see where we were at. Um, Leah says, no, that's a lot and outlines with so much brain work. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Brain work, oh dear, my words are disappearing. And here's the thing, I didn't even like miss a beat. I was like, brain work, of course. It's a lot of brain work. It's brain work. I like that. Becca made a breakdown of all the arcs in her book. She needs to outline. It's going to be a beast. Oh my gosh, Becca. I'm gonna need you to teach me your ways as I try and outline for Project Death, but that's so exciting. Yay! Yay! And I'm just so pumped for Will. I know I say it every time, but that's gonna be awesome. Oh my gosh. Pericula says, yes, research writing is different from fiction, but there's overlap. I credit writing fiction with me finally writing up my PhD, and I definitely have an advantage in researching for my. That's a great point. Yeah, there is skills learned in how to research. So I'm sure if you have like research heavy fiction, that makes a lot of sense. And we kind of talked earlier last night, like in some ways, even when you're writing fantasy, there's so much research that goes into things, and then you can even do historical fiction, and that's a bunch of research. So I bet that would help a lot. And I know for me, writing essays and articles helps my fiction writing immensely, even though I think of them as different brains. It's not that I fully buy into the like, what is it, 1,000 hours? What's the thing? 10,000 hours. I was like, 1,000 doesn't seem that long. 10,000 hours is like how you become an expert on something. I don't know that I fully buy into that, but always, practicing is helpful. And even if it's an adjacent kind, I actually, since I was talking about the book the other day, but this book talking about like why generalists are sometimes better or succeed more than like specialists. I think doing different kinds of writing ultimately helps whatever kind of writing you want to do. So I think that's really cool. 846. Okay, I did some calculations on my tiny strip of paper that also has the book I need to look up. But my tiny calculations say that in order to get a full 60 minutes, we need to do 16 minutes and 56 seconds of sprinting. So I'm going to go ahead and put that up there. And we're going to go a little bit over the 2 hours, but it's okay. Let's get to it. 16:56. All right, I'm going to make sure that almost everyone's cool with that. I don't see anyone disagreeing. So we're just gonna go with it. Sorry guys. Okay, start. Oh my gosh, I didn't pull it up on the screen. Just kidding. We won't start yet. Share screen. Which tab do I need? That one. Okay. Start. All right, we did it, you guys. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. Oh my gosh, thank you, Featherhow, for making it to the last sprint. So sorry. Hopefully, next month, I'm going to see if I can pick a time that I haven't done in a while. Maybe like, for me, like a midday time. I don't know. This is the problem. I don't know how that hits for y'all. Maybe at some point I can do like, maybe I can create like some sort of poll or like a Google form y'all can fill out so I can figure out more about like where y'all are located, and I can see that way I'm switching it up each time. I know it's hard because everyone's work schedules are different and you're all in different time zones, but like maybe I can come up with something. During that time, I managed to come up with one more scene for Project Blue #3, and I did a little bit of brainstorming on what I want my beta readers for this next round of Project Purple to think about. I think I'm actually going to do a Google form method I've seen a lot of people do. Lindsay Puckett has a really cool video on that, and so I think I'm just going to follow her video and come up with how I want to do it exactly. I do want to pick y'all's brain real quick though. When you are beta reading for people or people you've read stuff in the past for, would it make you stop reading if like you were given it in like 3 chunks? Because I'm doing sending out the story in 3 chunks, and then at the end of the first third of the book, having a link to a Google form, and then that gives you the second chunk. I just haven't figured out how I want to do that, or if I should just give the whole thing, because I know as a reader I tend to like read through it all at once. But like there are some questions that might be good to be answered like while reading a certain part. I don't know. This is the kind of thing that I'm debating, so I don't know how y'all feel when you're reading stuff. But let me see how you guys did on your sprint. Leah says 283, my brain was slowing down, but I'm happy. That's awesome. 283 is great. Sarah got 220, best sprint yet. Demi got 276. Samantha 336. JMB 220. Heck yes, way to go. Yeah, y'all freaking crushed it. Leah says, I've been giving mine out in 5 chapter chunks. Okay. Cool. That makes me feel a little bit better about that. Feather Health says, brainstorming for me, but glad I could join. Yes, glad you could join for a little bit. Amanda says, 320 words, got past the scene. And maybe, well, I lost where I was. Maybe I switch it up when I edit, but it's still going in the right direction, so I can't let it go for now. Yay, good. I think that's awesome then. If it's still going in the right direction, that's great. And yeah, editing you, future you will always be able to figure out. Plus, sometimes future you, even if you like chuck a whole scene, future you might get an idea from something you wrote during that to move around. So it's kind of one of those that it's like, keep going, keep going. And yeah, you got past it. Erin got 187 words and started making sure all the scenes she's outlined are set up correctly because I'm so much of an outliner. 1,055 for the whole stream, Erin. Are you kidding me? That's awesome. Man, I can't wait. I feel like I'm excited because NaNoWriMo's coming up. Other than doing like outline ins, I know I've talked with a couple people where we were just gonna outline together during like write-ins. I'm excited to get back to like some more zero drafting or first drafting kind of work, because I feel like a lot of this time I've just been in some sort of revision one way or another. So I'm excited to get into the next drafting stage and like actually get to write on these again. Let's see. And then Leah got 1,142 in the whole stream. Delightfully shocked. That's incredible. What the heck? You guys crushed it. And Samantha, 1,131. Oh my gosh. Can y'all believe? Okay, I know this was like a little over 2 hours of a stream, but realistically, it was only an hour-ish of sprint. It was exactly an hour of sprints. I did my math. And y'all got over 1,000 words. That's incredible. And I freaking came up with 11 scenes in the 3rd book of a series. That's so cool. This is also cool. Aaron says I dump words on the page fast. We'll see how fast I edit when I get into that. Same, Aaron. That's how I draft. That's my process too. So, but it's still, that's awesome. But all right, man, okay, we've been going for over an hour. I just want to say thank you guys so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. Again, just like yesterday, I feel like y'all motivated me past part of this that I don't know that I would have accomplished by myself in this same amount of time. So this was so helpful. And I'm going to put the poll for October up probably pretty soon, actually, because I'll be gone for a little bit in October, so I figure I'm going to give myself a head start. So be on the lookout for that. And yes, thank you guys so much. You guys all did incredible. I loved our conversations, and I will see y'all really soon. Okay, bye.